everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today is my co-host, Troy Brittingham. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good. You're Jeff Ackerman.
I am Jeff Ackerman. Troy, we just got back, saw the movie Civil War. Not the Captain America Iron Man one.
10 years too late.
Yeah, little late on that one. This is the
10 years? 8 years, I
This
think.
is the really dramatic, gritty, bloody war documentary. Yeah, A24 movie. That's true. Before I get too much further into it, let's play our stupid theme song.
It's not stupid. How dare you?
I mean, I'm not gonna shit on it because I do actually love it,
Uh-huh.
and I also didn't pay for it. So
And John hates it, so therefore it's pretty good.
Yeah. Alrighty, so if you're new around here, the way we do things, we give everything a thumbs up or a thumbs down to start off our review discussion, because everything on the internet exists as either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. As we all know, there is no, what's the word I'm looking for? There is no nuance on the internet. Thank you, Troy. This is why I keep you around.
For the one vocab word a day.
Yeah, that fucking vocab calendar is doing wonders for you, ain't it?
It's good. I was gonna vocab word.
That's a great. No,
Couldn't
I
get
love
one.
that. It's good. No, I love that. I love that so much. That's a great joke. All right, Troy, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay, so little added context here. I had a bad day at work. I woke up a little late. Wasn't really feeling it. Listened to some bad podcasts about the news and life and stuff. And then we watched this movie, and I am not totally against it or anything like that, but this is the nuanceless thing. I'm going to hardball a little bit and say thumbs down.
All right, I am gonna say thumbs up, but I really had to think about it for a while. It wasn't an easy decision.
We were talking about it a little bit. I think we're in very similar boats.
I believe we are, and when we talk more about it, we will kind of figure that out. But
like a canoe and a kayak, like they're similar.
yeah,
But like not the same thing.
but yeah. And if you're looking at both of them from a distance on like the top shelf of a Lowe's, you'd be like, oh yeah, that thing, and then you get closer and be like, oh well, they're a little different.
Actually, it's a kayak. I kind of wanted the canoe.
Yeah. Also, canoes are a lot bigger. They usually
Yeah,
seat
a lot
like
longer.
2 to 4
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
They're usually made of wood.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah, actually,
Or
you're
fiberglass.
you're kind of an idiot for thinking that they're the same thing. They're not that similar at all, actually.
With the internet being a place of, let's just say, less than hospitable environments, I like to.
What do you mean?
I like to begin our reviews with positivity.
Sure.
All right, Troy, what did you enjoy about this movie? Do you have like a very a thing that really stood out to you watching this movie?
I actually thought that there was a lot of positives in this. I think that I think that the shots of this movie are
The cinematography?
like incredibly good. And it also goes along with all of the characters in the movie are journalists. They're all specifically more photographers in general. Yes. They are all specifically looking for the best shot, and anything that they're not shooting, which is also like a big part of it, is every single scene you're seeing in the little, like, the movie's sort of set up in a thing where it's like little motifs of what's happening in this country. And
It's the greatest country on earth. Don't you forget it.
Yep.
Are you a patriot or aren't you?
I'm a harsh jingoist.
Jingoist?
Yeah, that's my vocab word of the day.
What's that?
It's like super patriots that are kind of like a little too fucking like extremely loyal. I don't know if I don't
Did
have
Nick Fuentes make that up?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's
Jingoist?
always been a word. Yeah, but it's like kind of a little too crazy patriot. I would not describe myself as one as any means.
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Do you want to know the most upsetting
that
thing about
vocab
me?
calendar is fucking paying
Would
dividends,
you like to
man.
know the most upsetting thing about my entire life and you knowing me in general? I know that word because of X-Wing. X-Wing, the tabletop game. There was
yeah,
there was
because of X-wing.
there was an Empire ship that came out that was called an ISB Jingoist, and it's because they were all about the Empire.
Yeah,
And I had to look up what that word meant. I thought it was a Star Wars word, and it wasn't. And then I started hearing it more.
yeah, yeah. No, I get it.
But no, but I think that everybody being photojournalists, and when they're not specifically
All of our main characters, I should say, they
Yes.
interact with plenty of people who aren't.
yeah,
But yeah,
mostly soldiers, at least 50%. But there's a lot of shots that they're specifically not taking that still look like sort of a photo that you would try to snapshot as like the audience watching the movie too.
Sure,
Like
yeah.
there's a whole lot of that type of stuff. I think it's a beautiful movie for sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful is definitely the right word.
Mm.
It feels a little weird
Yeah.
calling a movie beautiful that basically showcases the destruction of our country
Sure.
around the people in it. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not. Man, it's tough, man. For me personally, I know I just said we'd like to start on positive notes, but growing up, my dad served in the military. My brother served in the military. My sister served in the military. Both my grandfathers. It goes back a while. There's a lot of members of my family that
And
have
you
served.
played a lot of Gears of War 2. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yes, I was top 10 in the world on Gears of War 2, King of the Hill. Probably not anymore. I haven't checked out those leaderboards in a long time. But that being said, and before anybody writes off my next opinions, like, my dad was also a very big hippie growing up. He taught me, like, peace and love. Everyone has their own viewpoints. Learn to respect other people, even if they come from different places. They see things differently, and that's a value to us as a society. Honestly, fabulous upbringing if you ignore all the other things. But seeing the country I love in pieces did hurt. I'm not going to lie. When they fucking launched a bazooka rocket at the National Archives, it hurt a little bit seeing that. Storming the White House hurt. And I love this movie for making me feel that. Even though it was supposed to. We all knew kind of, sort of what we signed up for. The film pretty much advertised itself just by calling itself Civil War.
Yep.
And you had, like, a shot of, like, burning D.C. in the background in the trailer. And there was that one bit in the trailer that was misleading, if I can say, after we saw the movie, where the soldier says, "What kind of American are you?"
Mm.
And it's like, oh, that seems super loaded. I wonder what that's about. But he was like, oh, no, like, South American, Central American.
He's kind of just racist.
Yeah,
not
he's kinda
kind of. He is racist.
He's kind of just racist, and it's not a matter of, like, which American, as in, like, the good American or the bad American. It's like,
are you actually
the
American?
white America
Yeah.
or the Southern America?
Right.
It's a lot.
Yeah, he only
It's
shot.
more surface level, which is fine. But this movie did a really good job at making me feel things, and it also did a really good job of really showing what the front lines of war are like. I believe there are a lot of people currently in the world who say that war is inevitable in our country, and they kind of, I don't want to say advocate for it, but they kind of
There's a lot of
want
people.
it.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who do. I heard this about this movie actually. Of there's people who treat the idea of civil war in America as like the what would you do in a zombie apocalypse question, where it's like, yeah, but like realistically, if a zombie apocalypse started, you would just die. You
Yeah,
would just
everyone-
die and be sad.
Here's my thing, right? And
Die or be
this goes back to a very old joke from the Rooster Teeth podcast in, like, 2011, where they made a T-shirt that said, "Ask me about my zombie plan," and it was just a shotgun. And it was the joke was that if the zombies ever happened, I'm just killing myself.
Yeah.
If I don't become one of the initial, like, 98% of humanity that dies immediately, I wouldn't want to live in that world. And there are a couple shots in this movie that really reminded me of the first couple seasons of Walking Dead, especially when they're going down the interstate and it's just littered with abandoned, deserted cars that are just like inoperable or stuck on the side of the road or whatever, and they have to start like weaving in and out of these cars and driving on the grass just to get through. And that straight up looks like some shit from like episode 2 of Walking Dead season 1, where they're stuck on the interstate and the zombies start walking through. And I was just sitting there wondering, like, if a civil war broke out, I mean, I'd probably either do what both of our main characters said, which was live on a farm, pretend it isn't happening, or I'd be dead. Yeah. I want to believe that I would be a bleeding heart patriot like I claim to be, and I'd be on the front lines fighting, but no, I don't think I would, realistically. And I don't mean to get too existential or intrinsic about all this shit, but like, you know, it's one of those weird things. Everyone talks a big game, but this movie kind of shows you the front lines are brutal. The front lines are bloody. The front lines are very unforgiving, and you can die in the blink of an eye. Our main character, Kirsten Dunst, her character is killed and then just walked away from very unceremoniously.
Yeah, and they do not go back.
They do not go back.
The movie continues on.
And I fucking loved that.
Yeah.
That was so fucking brutal and real to war. And I feel like if this movie had been exactly the same, shot for shot, but you change out the Western forces and the United States for, like, the Allies and the Axis.
Yep.
It becomes immediately a much higher received movie.
Sure.
I don't know if higher or better received or more critically acclaimed. Those might not be the exact right words I'm looking for, but I feel like a lot of people are going into this expecting, like, oh, Civil War, let's see Americans kill Americans, but that's not what it is. It's a war documentary, kinda, about a fake war that focuses on the journalists and photojournalists at its core and the shit they go through just getting around to the stories and just trying to survive on the front lines. Mm-hmm. They're not soldiers. They don't have that training. They don't have weapons. They only have their cameras.
Right.
And yet they're right up there in the thick of it.
It's also a lot more about specifically their humanity. Kirsten Dunst basically starts the movie as like, yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people fucking die. And I take a lot of pictures, and I'm just kind of jaded and over it. Like, I mean, I don't know. I can take more pictures of dead bodies. That's fine. And then the whole movie is there's a little girl who's sort of like...
You say little girl. I want to point out that actress is 25.
Sure, but yeah, in the movie she's portrayed more young. It's the
her name it's Jessie in the movie. Kaylee Spaney is the actress's name. She is literally 25 years old.
Yeah,
it's younger than we are, Troy.
It's the Tom Holland effect. Yeah.
July 24th, 98. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Is this what it's like to start getting older, dude? I don't want to do this anymore. Anyway, continue your point. I'm so sorry.
But the movie is basically.
I'm sorry.
No, you go first.
I looked at the actress, and she's in the new upcoming Alien movie.
Oh, Romulus.
Romulus, yeah. So I guess we have that to look forward to.
And that actually could be a good Alien thing for the first time in a long time.
Who knows? I hope so. And she literally is from Missouri.
Oh
wait, no, Knoxville.
Oh,
why did Wikipedia lie? Why does it? Google says she was born in Springfield, Missouri, and Wikipedia says she was born in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Google's fucking trash lately.
They literally have two different answers.
Yeah, Google will be doing that recently. You'll notice that a lot.
Really?
It's gotten so fucking bad, dude. And a lot of it's an AI problem. And a lot of it
sucks.
And yeah, it's really, really stupid. But that's not what this is about.
No, this isn't about AI killing us slowly.
But basically the whole thing is Kirsten Dunst is somebody who's like jaded and over it. Her name is Lee in the movie. And Jessie is like new, and every time she sees a dead body or somebody dying, it like freaks her out a lot, and she has that humanity still in her.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole movie is basically them almost reversing roles.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. And it's at the very end, Lee dies in front of Jessie, and she's freaked out, and then she gets up and she continues moving forward doing a thing, and there's a whole scene at the beginning where she goes, if I die, would you take a picture of me? And Lee goes, "What do you think?" And then basically going like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And then when the movie's ending, she deletes the picture of their other friend, Sam, who dies. So she's like, "No, this is fucked up. Take pictures of your dead friends." And then Jesse literally takes a picture of her getting shot and dying.
Yeah, because Lee dies protecting Jesse. They're storming the White House with the Western forces, and the Secret Service is shooting back at them. And she kind of like jumps in the middle of a hallway to take a picture, and Lee sees the Secret Service, so she like pushes Jesse out of the way. And I hate this trope that happens a lot, but like I get it in the sake of this movie. She pushes Jesse down, but then doesn't really do anything herself. I feel like in these situations, the smartest thing to do is to like, I don't know how better to say it to help you envision what I'm trying to say, but get down, Mr. President.
Sure.
Where you just jump at the target and you both go down.
Right.
And you protect them with your fallen body.
I actually don't know if I can think of another version of this where the other person's standing in the middle of the hallway at the end of this.
No, but I've seen it in like video games as well, where like someone's in a street about to get hit by a car, and you'll run out and push them out of the way, but you didn't continue moving your own feet, so then you just got hit and died.
Right.
And it's just like, well, that's not. What are you doing, man?
Right. Usually it works better if there's like a dive and a bullet, but like then it messes up her ability to get a photo of it.
A photo of Lee getting hit and then mid-fall. Yeah. And then she just does crumple beside Jesse on the ground. And Joel just keeps moving. He doesn't stop. And Jesse just kind of sits up and kind of acknowledges what happened, but then stands up and starts moving, just like you said.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fucking. It is really, really interesting watching the two of them kind of switch. I think it happens right after the ambush with the two soldiers. I say ambush. It's not really an ambush. But and they have that like mass grave they're filling. Which, oh my goodness, dude. We watch a lot of movies. And even before this podcast existed, we watched a lot of movies. It's kind of why we started this podcast. Yeah. This movie got dead body physics really, really good. It did it well. Just the dump truck lifting and the dead bodies just like sliding out. I don't know if every one of those was like a paid extra that just like was paid to lay there and slide.
I think there are people who specialize in dead body acting.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Especially if you have a dead body that's only going to be visible for a few seconds at a time, just hold your breath, pay a guy to do it instead of putting a dummy in there. Well, it's going to look a lot better.
There is one guy, because I was thinking about it as it was happening too. There is one guy who slides down and hits his head on the side of the truck on his way down, and I'm like, that's a pretty impressive like stunt that people don't really like think about with those types of things. Like, you could fuck yourself up doing that.
Oh yeah,
because you can't block it with your hands. You're dead. Like, you're not supposed to do that.
Yep. Speaking of that scene, you didn't watch Breaking Bad?
I did not.
So when our main cast comes across...
That's the one thing about this podcast that I used to be really, really bad at watching TV shows.
So
I'm still bad at it.
Jesse splits off from Lee and Joel and Sammy and goes with one of Joel's like reporter buddies, I guess, and they get stopped by a couple of soldiers that are doing their job and mass graving a bunch of dead bodies. One of those soldiers with red glasses is played by an actor named Jesse Plemons. For those of you that watch Breaking Bad, you know him better as Todd. And that actor is really good at just delivering lines dead-faced while also just violently murdering somebody behind him. And he just plays it off like it didn't happen. He's really good at playing that level psychopath and just keeping it rolling. And speaking of him, he was just in fatigues, unbranded, but fatigues, holding an M16 while all of this happened, and he just like blatantly murdered two of our new friends that we just met because they weren't American. They were the one guy said he was from Hong Kong and just gets shot immediately by Jesse Plemons in the red glasses. I don't know if this was done completely on purpose, but like throughout most of this movie, I was like, oh, the guys in the fatigues, they're the USA. The guys in the regular clothes, they have to be the Western forces, right? I don't think that's true anymore after we finished the movie because the guys in the fatigues were the ones storming the White House. and then the people coming out of the White House were in suits because it was just the Secret Service left. I think the guys in the regular clothes in the mass grave were the USA soldiers, or I guess whoever's representing the USA. I'm not sure exactly how all of that worked. And it's tough when you have a country like ours. Not every country operates the way ours does. Certainly no others that I can think of, where you have state governments that also have a federal government.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Army maintenance and navigation would get a lot trickier if states were to suddenly break off. It's like, well, I now own all the military assets within my borders. It's like, well, no, you don't. They're federal property. It's like, well, then come and take it. Like,
well, that sort of, if we want to start sliding into more negatives at some point.
I don't know that I've gone negative yet.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, this is a segue into.
Sure.
I don't need everything super explained to me.
No, that's what I'm saying. I liked that happened.
Yeah, I do think that there's sometimes where it's just sort of like it. A lot of what I heard going into this was it's pretty good. It's actually more about the journalism. It doesn't really seem to take that much of a political stance, which I think is kind of a lie. It does kind of, but it doesn't go super hard, and it doesn't explain a ton of what's going on.
I would argue it doesn't take a political stance. It takes a humanitarian stance.
Sure.
It takes the stance of war is ugly, war is bad. And the only outright political thing that happened, despite being a movie about an American Civil War in modern times, was Sammy and Joel going back and forth in the car early on, shitting on the president. They dropped a couple key pieces of background information that the president is now in his third term, which, if you don't know, is unconstitutional.
Yep.
That amendment was ratified shortly after FDR died in office. He was president during World War II. He died. Truman took over. Truman is the one who ordered the bombs to be dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. But FDR, because he was so popular and it was times of war, he got elected 4 terms. He got elected twice, and then he wasn't going to get elected a third time. His party refused to back him, so he said, fuck you, I'm still beloved by Americans. I'm going to create my own party called the Bull Moose Party. So he tried running as a third party, but he was so fucking popular that his party was like, fine, I guess you're our candidate again. And then he got reelected a third time, and the fourth time they didn't even fight him. They were like, fucking go for it. We're in the middle of World War II. You can still be president.
Yeah.
Shaking up leadership during the largest conflict in history is probably not a great idea. Regardless, after that amendment was ratified, you can no longer have more than 2 terms. So the fact that he has a third term means he's either throwing the Constitution out the window or creating new rules that aren't inherently historically constitutional. They might be currently constitutional, depending on what else got modified or ratified between then and now. They also say that the president was dropping airstrikes on civilians and domestic targets.
Did they say Boston? I forget where they said
I don't
it
think
was.
they dropped specifics.
Okay.
Or at least if they did, I don't remember.
I thought they did, but I could be wrong.
They might have. I don't remember, unfortunately. But any president dropping airstrikes on domestic targets is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I know but then, like,
as a domestic target, I would agree.
Yeah, me too, man. And as residents of the 6th largest city in the nation, guess what? We are a very big domestic target.
I would agree that I wouldn't like
when those maps came out in like the late 80s and early 90s after the USSR fell, and it was like, hey, here's where the USSR was going to send nukes. Philly and DC made the list.
Yeah.
We could not outrun anything if they were coming out.
I could.
Oh.
Yeah, me personally, I
could.
Yeah.
Can I, like, hop on your back?
I think that would probably slow me down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it then.
Well, we did see Fallout. You just got to do the thumb test.
Gotcha. I could do that.
Yeah.
I could probably handle, like, holding your cat. Does that work?
You know what? That does work. You can save Raven.
Okay.
I'll die. That's okay. Or I'll be a ghoul, and I'll just come find you.
Ooh.
With no nose and half my face melted off.
Ooh, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to be as cool as Walton Goggins, though.
Right, you'd just be
He had
like,
a cool-
my skin fell off.
He had a cool,
Oh.
leather trench coat and boots. I'm just going to have, like, I don't know, my safety yellow work hoodie and my Nikes.
Yeah, and he's cool and he's handsome and he's got charisma.
And he's got a cowboy hat. I've got a couple
like
Braves
him.
hats.
Yeah.
People like him.
Yeah, just
Anyway, douchebag. But yeah, they do talk about atrocities the president has committed. And you know, they don't exactly paint the USA as the good guys in this conflict. They kind of paint the Western forces not as the good guys, but as the apparent victors. So, and then the beginning of the movie is Nick Offerman as the president.
And there's also like a Florida different branch thing too.
Yeah,
that's
like
its
Florida's
own
like a
third
weird
faction.
thing. Yeah, I don't understand. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
They kind of dropped a couple hints to it, but that was fine. I was okay with that. But Nick Offerman as the president in the beginning of the movie is delivering a speech about how victory is imminent for the USA. The rebels will be shut down in what some are already calling the greatest victory in military history. And very reminiscent of a very recent ex-president and his gross exaggerations
Obama.
of certain things. Yes, exactly.
George Bush. Bill Clinton.
You ran out that quick.
Well, I mean, they're start to get not recent at a certain point.
You've named all the ones that are still alive, except
Joe
45.
Biden. Not a former president.
Not a former president, former vice president. But yeah, so they make it kind of clear that like the USA
Kanye West
kind of sucks. Shut up. The USA kind of sucks in this timeline, and the Western forces maybe don't. They don't really make a stand one way or the other. And whenever they're asked about it directly, they kind of give non-committal answers of like, we're just Americans. We're photojournalists. We're just on the front lines taking pictures and telling people back home. That's it.
Is it Alex Garland specifically said in a bunch of interviews that he kind of wasn't going for a hardline stance, and he was kind of making it so all sides can kind of be seen as like they don't say whether or not Nick Offerman's Republican or Democrat at any point.
Of course not.
The one alliance is specifically California and Texas, which is not a thing that could happen conceivably.
I don't think I could, off the top of my head, name two states that are more ideologically different, except for maybe California and Florida. But even then, both are like pretty sunny, semi-tropical locations.
Also,
plus, I don't know how much you know about the actual like state makeup of California. There is a measure that certain Californians, have been pushing for a number of years now called the Jefferson Initiative. I may have that name might be wrong, but they want to split California into two states because they believe Northern California is so fundamentally different culturally and politically from Southern California, where your LA and San Francisco are, that they want to just create a state border there. And then the northern state of California would become Jefferson, and the southern part of California would stay California. Obviously, that is not gaining a lot of ground, especially not nationally, since you haven't heard about it before. And you're pretty well educated, I'd say, especially on political matters.
Thank you.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you have to.
When I care about things and pay attention.
When you care about things and
then
certain
don't
groups,
want my country to be bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so California can't agree with itself on anything. So it's very hard for me to imagine California agreeing with Texas on anything. Yeah. Unless the northern half just like bombed LA and the capital and executed the governor. Who even knows, man? But the two of them are specifically named, and then I believe in Nick Offerman's presentation on TV in the beginning of the movie, he says that they were the Western forces were unsuccessful in recruiting the Carolinas. So cool. That's two other states that you've now name dropped. Everyone else, I guess, is up for grabs.
Yep.
But if the Western forces are pushing D.C., I'm going to assume they have most of the Midwest and the West,
also,
like on lock.
Let's be honest. We talked about this before this movie came out, off air. California and Texas. I heard I was listening to a podcast I listened to that was specifically non-American podcasters talking about this, and they were like, I don't know if I don't know a whole lot about America, but I don't know if 2 states could handle 48 of them. If California and Texas attacked the rest of America, they would win. They would win pretty. It would obviously asterisk, but like.
Well, it all comes back to a point I mentioned earlier of like, if California and Texas were to secede and join forces, first of all, that's very illogical, just militarily.
Sure,
because you don't share a border.
They are not the same thing. They're not close.
Whatever.
I mean, they're kind of close, but not close.
They're not close enough. And the other part is, if California and Texas were to secede, are all military assets within those borders now property of California?
Yeah.
And I guess that's something that they would deal with internally with like smaller scale kind of uprisings or rebellions that they'd have to like put down. Like, oh, you're either with us or against us, clearly. We'll let you leave the state border now, but tomorrow we are the new California Republic, and you are a citizen of that new country. And that's that.
Yeah, I think the movie might work better. I don't even know what it would, because if you say California versus Texas, then Washington's not even really included. It's like on the other side of the country.
That's where Chris is.
No, Washington D.C.
Oh, never mind.
I
thought you meant Washington State.
Yeah.
Fuck it, Canada, take them. Just absorb them into Canada. They'll be a lot happier. Everyone makes out in that.
I just feel like the fiction of the Civil War itself doesn't make sense with the lines that probably would happen if anything did happen.
And I think that's the point, right?
Yeah, well, it's because they want
want everyone who watches it to be able to see either side in either place.
Yeah.
Which they did pretty well, I'd say, by leaving a lot of things ambiguous and having every individual interaction with a soldier boil down to, are you a combatant? No. Cool. Then stay out of my fucking way.
Out of curiosity, do you like that? Or do you think that's a negative?
I think it plays it a little safer than it maybe needed to, but at the same time, I do respect it. You do need to take a lot of steps to be very careful not to label one side or the other with good or bad and specific political leanings. They just boil everyone down to, we're in a war. It's one side versus the other side. And they kind of hang a hat on this moment when they have that interaction with the snipers when they're driving down to D.C. because they get attacked by a sniper, and so they stop the car, they get out, and there's a couple other snipers in the grass in ghillie suits. Not ghillie suits, but they've got coverings, they're camouflaged. And Joel tries asking him, like, are you Western Forces or are you USA? You know, like, who's the guy in the house? And he's like, I'm just here, man. And that guy's shooting at me, so I gotta kill him.
Yeah, I've got a gun. He's got a gun.
And he's shooting at me, so I gotta shoot back.
Yeah, it's kind of gonna go one way here.
Yeah, and I mean that's what most war boils down to, like, entirely. You know, not to harp on it too much, but like family history of the service. You know, you get told where to go and what to do, and because most men on the front lines are young and ambitious and full of blind patriotism, you don't ask the bigger questions. You just say, yes, sir, and you do it. Also, that's what boot camp is for. It fucking beats that stuff out of you. So that all you do is say, yes, sir, and move. So I get it completely. I do. I respect it. It's really, really nice and well done. I feel like the movie that was possibly advertised to me would have taken a side or would have more obviously labeled the sides, but I'm not upset with the way it turned out. I could see how you would be there.
I think
I understand
a little bit.
I don't know if I'm just to highlight what I just said.
Sure.
This movie is sitting at a 2.7 on Google out of like 4,500 ratings, and the ratings are pretty split between 5s and 4s versus 1s. So I have a feeling there are a lot of people that went into this like blind or almost blind or at least open-minded, and they saw a war documentary about a fictional war focusing on the photojournalists, and they were like, this is great. And all the 1-stars are like, I thought I'd see reds and blues fighting, and that's not what I got. 1 star. I don't mean to boil everyone in that camp's opinions down to a generalization, but that's kind of what it feels like.
That is sort of where the line feels like it is for the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it that's not like a super toxic opinion. I don't think if you don't like it because of that, because I kind of would have liked if it had a little bit more of a stance or a side or played into the sides a little more. I don't think that I like hate the fact that they didn't.
I feel like if they want to do that, A24 certainly has a good window to do it.
Yeah.
They used this movie to create that universe. They could very easily just wind the clocks back a year and, maybe have Kirsten Dunst in the early stages of her photojournalism career, and she's following, like, the breakout of the war, or a completely different character altogether. They've created this universe that they now own the rights to. They can do whatever they want with it. So maybe we'll get that in, like, a sequel if this does well enough. It's hard to say. It had a $50 million budget, which sounds fucking insane out loud, but like it's made 100.
What's
Oh, holy shit! There actually is a map. Okay.
Yeah, there's a map in the beginning I saw on the TV.
Yeah, so Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida. Okay. So all like the deep South states and Oklahoma are the Florida Alliance. So they are a separate entity. California and Texas are the Western forces. Basically, the whole top left of the country is yellow as the New People's Army, and then Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Nebraska, that other one in the middle, Kansas. Thank you, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, all those are all just blue as loyalist forces, a.k.a. the USA.
So there's a whole fourth faction I just didn't know was in this movie.
Exactly. There's a lot going on here that, they could elaborate on if they so chose to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they will.
How long was this movie, out of curiosity?
Great question. That was going to be another one of my positives, because this movie is it does what it wants to do, it makes its point, and then it's out. We don't overstay our welcome. We don't overly milk or harp on something that we've already explained or dealt with. This movie has 109 minutes runtime.
109?
Hour and change.
Wow. Okay.
It's under 2.
So
I think that's an hour 49 if my math is correct.
So this is a wildly unpopular and inconsistent opinion of mine. I think maybe I would have appreciated it more if it was longer, and because I feel like sometimes with the motif kind of structure, we're kind of in and out of a lot of stuff.
We are.
And there could be a little bit more like, what was this guy up to? Mm-hmm. Also, I think that there are a bunch of shots where, because of them going in, doing a thing, playing up the drama of it, trying to build suspense, and then slowing it down by everybody taking pictures of a thing and you seeing the still images for a while, which is effective, but it does slow it down a lot. Sometimes I feel like you could shave off a little bit of them walking up the stairs for a while to get to the one wounded soldier in the beginning, to maybe move on and add that time somewhere else. But I kind of almost felt like it could have been a little bit longer to fill out some of those things too. I think I just want a little bit more meat, where I feel like they put a lot into the 4 characters of the movie.
They did.
And I do like them enough.
I feel like if that... And you're kind of getting at like where the differentiation is.
I'm talking about a different movie though. At this point, is the problem.
This movie never set out to be about the Civil War.
Yeah,
it was just about the photojournalists, with the background being the Civil War. I will also say, apparently, I was doing some Google foo while you were talking a little bit. That little ambush with the soldiers that kill Joel's friends. Mm-hmm. Those are loyalist soldiers, and the corpses are civilians. Apparently, loyalists at this point in the war were just mass murdering civilians and burying them. So, apparently the USA is the bad guys.
Is this movie political?
Man, don't get me started. But yeah, it's a really good movie, man. I did thoroughly enjoy the story that they told of like Frontlines War. I They did a lot with not a whole lot of I feel like most of the budget went into the DC bit at the end.
Yes.
I feel like everything before that, if you don't count like actor salaries, probably only cost a few million.
Yeah.
Just like
100%.
yeah, just abandoned lots or buildings, and you just dress them up a little bit, put the actors there, and you do like 30, 40 minutes of a scene, and then you're out. That's not to say it's bad. I really did enjoy it. And one of those things that I really enjoyed was at the gas station. There's like a little bit more of like the world going on around them, where Lee says, "I'll give you $300 for a half a tank of gas and two cans." And the guy laughs at her and says, $300 will get you a sandwich, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, no, 300 Canadian. And the tone changes. And he's like,
Sure.
Oh, yeah, deal.
Oh, real money.
Yeah. So, like, oh, the U.S. dollar has tanked.
Yeah.
And not for nothing. Like, Civil War happened.
Yeah, there's 4 countries now.
There's 4 separate, armies
not
fighting
countries,
for
but,
control. And who's to say that after the Western forces killed the president and the loyalists are dead, that that they're in charge now? No, the same shit happened. What was it? Right after Caesar was assassinated by his members of Congress or the Senate in ancient Rome.
Right.
And then they went through like a bunch of different emperors, like in quick succession,
because like we're going to do to you with this podcast.
because nobody like trusted one another anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Man.
Like we've been planning on doing, me, Chris, and Dee have been planning on doing in this podcast, and I am immediately going to also start trying to kill them too.
Yeah.
After I try to usurp, I'm gonna make it just the TV podcast.
Cool.
Do you think? And again, this is just so I think my whole mindset of this movie is I'm like, I thought it was good. I kind of want it to just be a different movie, and I don't know how to square that circle. Do you think this is any more effective as a mini series on a streaming service?
No. I feel like if you stretch this out too much and you start divulging too many more individual pieces, you just either end up writing yourself into a corner, or you have people nitpicking every individual thing and ultimately bringing down any sort of critic score of your final product.
Well, yeah, I'm more
if this was a band of brothers and not like a movie, like if it was a miniseries or like a season of a show, I feel like it would be too much fluff. I don't want them to take 6 episodes to get to DC.
No, I'm just saying if it was like more limited series-y and all the motifs are kind of their own thing.
They don't need to be. I enjoyed them as they were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's the divide in the reviews we're talking about, and I don't think that I'm as
one of them,
I would
sure.
not give 1 star.
Absolutely not. No. There's too much good in this movie to give it 1 star. You might disagree with what happened, but like every actor did their job incredibly well.
100%.
Beautiful film, shot perfectly. I loved the interjection of the still photos that were being taken with the movie, and just like showing us the shot that whoever just captured. That was fucking brilliant, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I also loved the difference. You always knew whose photos they were because, well, first of all, they showed you. But secondly, Jessie has that bit about how she stole her dad's old cameras, and Lee is using top-of-the-line brand-new Nikon. So all of Lee's are in 4K full color, and all of Jessie's are in black and white. And I loved seeing those like next to each other sometimes. It was really, really, really good, in my opinion. But no, I can understand your point. I just don't agree with it.
Sure, yeah, and I'm mostly hitting all these just because I gave it a thumbs down at the beginning. I'm trying to justify myself a little bit.
That's totally fair.
For podcast reasons. But yeah, no, I am not upset with this movie. I don't think that it made me be like, oh, this really makes me think differently about the idea of the future of the country too much.
No. It's made me double down. If that let me explain what that means, I guess. Because I've said a lot of times now on this podcast that I am a big patriot. I do love my country. Troy, you're currently sitting in front of an Assassin's Creed American flag. I do love my country. I believe that civil war is not inevitable. I feel like this country can mend itself and overcome challenges and have a really nice period of prosperity and growth ahead of us. And this movie really makes me hopeful for the world around me. I know that it shouldn't, but for some reason after I left the movie, I was like, that sucked, but I have a lot of hope in my fellow Americans that we won't succumb to this. It won't become this. That might be naivety on my part. I fully accept that.
Now, I fully...
If D were here, he would call me a naive bastard, and that's fine. I fully accept that. I believe in the good of humanity and people individually to a fault sometimes, and I really do believe our country can heal. I don't think a war is around the corner.
I think I almost have a weird cynical optimism, if that exists,
Please,
like a combination of both. I almost kind of feel like I didn't believe the surroundings of the movie enough where I'm just like, well, this shit won't happen. Like, I don't think and I don't think it's so bad where I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous, but it's kind of like, it's a little melodramatic. And obviously a civil war in America would be, but I don't know if I believe it to the extent that this movie would have. I kind of look around at the people who actually say, like, yeah, we should do a civil war, and kind of be like, yeah, but, like, and most of the people who say that, I'm like, yeah, but you wouldn't, though. Like, I don't believe you.
That's the thing. All the people that I've ever heard, like, clamoring for an American civil war these days, like, you take one look at them and you're like, you're not going to be fighting on the front lines.
Yeah, but
I don't want to stereotype anybody. I don't want to reduct anybody down to, what they look like or what they sound like or what they say, but you're not gonna. It's always the loudest that are like the last to pick up a gun.
Yeah. Most people who say that are not the guy.
Yeah, most people. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I think that we're sort of past this movie a little bit, where like sort of end of the Trump years, January 6th
I mean,
sort of
you
situation.
say that the election is in November.
Yeah, but
he's on the ballot.
But the energy now, so the energy around January 6th is sort of like, no, we need to do something right now. There's patriots who love Donald Trump who need to fucking tear apart the country, and the like leftists and liberals need to defend democracy before it's taken apart. And now it's sort of at a point where everybody's just sort of like, I'm just fucking tired and I don't care. I don't like either of these guys. Like, obviously there's still people who are fucking in love with Trump.
Sure.
But there's not as many, and they're a lot fucking quieter, and like nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
They're both pushing 80, and people are just
hard
sort of
to
like,
keep people that angry at a 10 for that long.
yeah.
Eventually, people either like get bored or tired or fall off. And it happens.
Also, a lot of that stuff was in the middle of the stir of everybody was also stuck in their house and very, very mad.
And they had a lot of pent up energy.
Yeah. Now people go to the movies and they eat popcorn, and then they're like, actually, it's not that bad. Things are expensive, but that's fine.
Yeah,
we'll get
things
over
are
it.
fine. Everything is fine.
They could not be fine.
Yeah, they could not be.
Very soon, but we'll see.
I wanna finalize our review here with a quote from a folk punk musician, Pat the Bunny, where he says, "People always ask who will do the dishes after the revolution," and he says, "I do my own dishes now. I'll do my own dishes then. It's always the ones who don't who ask that fucking question." And that is what I will leave you with at the end of this review. Troy, what is your final score for this movie? We are playing with a little bit of a numbers score. The longtime listeners know that
we're testing it out a little.
We've traditionally done letter grades like high school, but now we're trying numbers. I don't know. We know the fucking Whose Line rules apply. The points are made up and the rules are made up and nobody cares.
And just to try to push engagement, which you normally get enough of. Just comment or me email and tell us which one you like better.
Yeah.
You vote. You decide.
Engage with the content.
Engage.
Oh my God, we can't do this.
Yeah, no, we saw that bit. I am going to say, I gave you a number before the podcast, which I don't normally do, and I don't think I've been pushed off of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 6.
Well, this discussion wasn't meant to move your needle.
No, I don't think so. But I like to try to give the conversation a little bit of room to push me either way.
Let it breathe. Let it marinate.
I'm gonna say 6.9. Nice. And the reason for that is I think it's sort of it's actually a really good apocalypse movie, which makes sense because Alex Garland is also 28 Days Later.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other stuff. He's got a pretty big, bulky resume.
Oh yeah, Alex Garland is he's an all right guy. He's done a couple things you may have heard of.
Is he Ex Machina?
He is Ex Machina. He is 28 Days Later. He is Annihilation. He is Sunshine from 2007. I do remember that movie. 28 Weeks Later. 28 Months Later. Dread. Ugh. Dread. Oh man, that movie wasn't great. If I don't remember.
Well, which Dread are you thinking about? There is a
2012
better
Dread.
one. It's fine. There's a lot of people who do love it. I'm not one of them. But I think it's a really good apocalypse movie. I think it's very well shot. It's extremely well shot. It's extremely well acted. I don't feel like I was super harrowed by it. There's like scenes that are more harrowing than others. And I just don't know if I fully buy it or buy into the politics of it.
Alex Garland was paid $1 million by Microsoft to write a adaptation of the popular video game Halo for the big screen back in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And then Microsoft sold that script to Universal for $10 million. I want Alex Garland's Halo.
Absolutely. Would be.
Oh my God, I want Alex Garland's Halo.
We were actually so nice to the Halo show, especially season 2. Actually, it fucking sucks. Give
me Alex Garland's Halo, like right now.
You know what the other one was supposed to be? Around that same sort of time frame, the one that they made all of the props for and then put into a warehouse.
Yeah,
forever.
that was District 9 or something, right?
Yeah, District 9 got a lot of them. Avatar got a lot of them.
Yeah.
Do you know who that was supposed to be?
Spielberg, right?
Peter Jackson.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thought it was Spielberg. Oh, Jackson. Even so, no, Spielberg's on the new project.
Yes.
As like a executive producer, like no name or no work credit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like he's just in name only.
Jackson, Halo, and
like how George R.R. Martin is like a writer on fucking what's that video game? Elden Ring.
Yeah. Not for the DLC.
No, because everything he wrote for the original game got scrapped, but his name was on the box anyway.
And they probably called up and said, "Do you want to write anything for this new thing?" And they got to the word "write," and they went straight to voicemail.
His voicemail is actually like a choose your own adventure. It's like press 1 for like a talk show interview. Press 2 for writing. You press 2 and it's like, boo. Oh, I guess we got disconnected. Let me try again.
I thought you were gonna say it's like a choose your own adventure and you keep pressing different numbers, but none of them really lead to an ending. Like they just kind of all peter out after a while.
That's such a better joke.
Like you're just clicking down a rabbit hole. You're like, oh, I wonder what happens next.
Can we rewind time a few seconds so I can tell a better joke? No, we're not gonna do that.
What's your number?
My number. Oh my God, I forgot I didn't do that. I'm probably like a 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
It's I do really enjoy realistic war documentary style stuff. Growing up, I don't want to say growing up, but when I was a teenager, one of my favorite movies ever was and still is, I guess, Saving Private Ryan. Because it's just a really brutal first lines look at what people went through in World War II. It doesn't glam up anything. It's all just like dirty, gritty dudes just in the mud, in the muck, just trying to save Private Ryan and send him home. I feel like,
and it's got Vin Diesel before he was Vin Diesel.
It does. This is not my theory, and I do not know if I believe it 100%. But I've heard it said that starting with Gen X and millennials, we started having generations that didn't go to war and didn't have close relatives that went off to war and came back traumatized or not at all. And that changed global perspective of war and kind of babied it a little. And now people are like, yeah, fuck it, war. Yeah, war's great. But, like, we have a separation now. And it's kind of made people like, yeah, let's go to war. We got to fight for things. But no, war sucks. War really, really, really sucks. There are no winners in war. Stop it. And then you can equate it a little bit to a philosophy that a very close friend of mine has, who is a vegan, where he says that people stopped having to butcher their own meat. And now people just consume meat regularly all the time. And it's separated us from the animals. Now people don't equate chicken with a chicken or ham with a pig, because there's like this whole separation. We don't see where it comes from anymore.
I made a whole pork style dinner for lunch, and I equate that to the little square cube of ground pork that I bought from the store.
Exactly. We don't equate that to animals anymore. Or at least most of us don't. So we have like a disconnect there. We just consume meat because it's always been around.
And some of us are Kristi Noem, future VP candidate who just, kills animals all the
I've
time. I've
actually heard that Trump's no longer considering her.
No, well, obviously. Yeah. There's no shot.
Yeah.
I hate Donald Trump, and I think he's one of the biggest idiots in America.
He's not dumb enough to pick Kristi Noem.
The one thing I think he does know is optics, and I don't.
Dude, did you see her defense of that recently?
God damn, she's so fucking dumb. She
said she had to pick between the dog and defending her children.
Yeah.
From a 14-month-old puppy that was just running and playing with animals?
She recently came out and said it was fake news. It was like, it's your fucking book, Kristi.
Yeah, we took the words from your mouth, you dumb bitch.
She also at one point
fucking
said,
sue me for slander. I don't give a shit, Kristi Noem.
She hit with the city folk don't get it. I had to put down 2 horses recently, and it's just like, you're just talking about killing more animals.
Yeah, you're not helping.
There's one bipartisan issue in all of America, and people love animals.
Every Trump-supporting...
Especially dogs.
Every Trump-supporting boomer I know also has like a T-shirt that says, I love my dogs more than my kids, or whatever. I don't know why I gave them that offensive Southern accent. I deeply apologize to the entire Southern United States. But, no, like, everyone loves dogs, man. Why did you do this?
It's one of the most absurd like, political stories I've ever heard.
It's so absurd.
It's genuinely, and, like, the excerpts from her book, because I even like looked at it being like, maybe people are blowing this up a little bit because she's like a Republican governor or whatever, and I read into them. I'm just like, no, this would be like if you put it into if you made this a villain in your book, people would go, this villain's really poorly written.
Yeah,
nobody does this.
That's too comically mean. Yeah, you gotta make it a little more realistic. You know what it reminds me of deeply, and this is a terrible example because he won. Was Trump calling McCain a coward?
Yeah.
For getting captured during the fucking Vietnam War?
Yeah.
Dude.
And I don't even like McCain.
No.
And I'm like, hey man, there shouldn't be a situation where you make fun of John McCain and I go, that's really mean to John McCain.
Dude.
Like, he sucks.
Trump made me like Mitt Romney.
Yeah, dude. It's fucking wild. Romney sucks too. Like, I don't
Romney's
understand.
the reason Toys R Us is no longer a thing.
Oh my God.
Romney is the reason Toys R Us doesn't exist, and yet Trump's making me like Romney.
If you made it all the way through this podcast about this very political
I'm so
movie
sorry.
and not knowing about our politics, you know what they are now. You can go back and re-listen to it now.
Yeah, D, you're the only one listening this far. Tell us how we got off the plot and how much we suck.
We're done the movie at this point. It's fine.
Oh,
now.
it's been done, man.
We're at TB&J After Dark.
TB&J After Dark.
It's been very dark. We started this podcast at like 9:30.
Yeah.
we're loopy and tired now.
Yeah, it's been a day. Dude, fucking, I never thought I'd see the day where I'd be like, Mitt Romney's an all right guy. Or, hey, stop being mean to John McCain.
Stop being mean to John McCain. Come on. God damn.
John McCain and Obama is like the last time, or Romney and Obama as well. It's like the last time that two opposing presidential candidates were like nice and cordial to each other. Like, do you remember?
And it's going to be the last time you see for a long time.
Have you seen the clip of like McCain shutting down a racist guy for making fun of Obama at one of McCain's rallies?
Yeah, I mean,
back in
he was like
2007.
I mean, you can argue a lot of those guys are like fake respectable, but I think
I
don't want to give too much to McCain, but I'll give him a little
old
bit.
school Republicans, I will never agree with them, but I could at least like respect them. I won't see eye to eye with
I
you,
don't know.
but like I can understand you came from a different
I'm
place.
more petty than you are, I think.
You are way more petty than I am. Remember, I believe the good in people to a fault, and I think we're not headed for death and destruction in this country.
I do too, but I like a little bit of bullying on the side.
I like
Just a little bit.
just a little bit of
I
bullying.
think there's a little bit of bullying. It's okay.
I mean, I did just jump on you with Kristi Noem.
Well, yeah, because she turbo sucks.
She turbo sucks.
Like, immediately, I sometimes will, like, if I'm at work and I, like, am in the room with certain people, I'll be like, I've got a joke about this person, but I'll wait until I'm in a different room with not as many people.
Yeah, because you're not stupid.
Kristi Noem, I walk in and it's just like, hey, what's up? Kristi Noem, dog assassin, wait. I've been hitting,
Everyone laughs.
I've been hitting Kristi Noem jokes at work like a lot recently, and I'm not concerned about anybody who's around me because everybody's like, oh yeah, the dog killing lady, yeah, she sucks. And it doesn't matter who they are.
You know
like,
what the best part of this is? She's going to lose re-election for governor.
Yeah,
She should.
I don't. Also, there's rumors that she put in the book in the first place because Donald Trump famously does not like dogs, and it's just like hey man, I don't think that the biggest dog
Stop
hater,
kissing his ass.
Also, like the biggest dog hater in the world still isn't like, oh yeah, hey, guess what? You don't like dogs.
Them all.
Yeah, you don't like dogs. I executed a puppy. Hey man, that's weird.
Hey,
that makes
guess
you
what?
look like a lunatic.
Guess what, world? I don't like dogs. You know what? I still love dogs. I'm a cat person. I think dogs are loud. I think they have way too much energy, and I don't like that they bark.
I have 2 dogs, and you're correct.
Yeah. My cat is way quieter and way less maintenance. I love my cat. Guess what? I still fucking love dogs. When I see one in public, I'm like, that's a cute fucking dog. I don't want it in my house, but that's a cute fucking dog.
It's like when you're not a kids person.
Yeah.
And then you see like a cute baby and you're like, well, I'm not going to be like, ew, gross baby.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not going to be like, ew, gross baby. I'm going to be like, that's a little bundle of joy that doesn't know how bad the world is going to be when they grow up.
Right.
That's fine.
All right. I'll babysit them maybe once, but I'm not going to have her. I'm not going to have one.
I'm going to babysit, but like, we're watching Deadpool.
Not me. I would love to. I would love to be.
We're going to watch Deadpool. We're not going to watch fucking Coco Melon or Bluey.
Just don't
that shit.
Just don't tell your parents.
Yeah, just don't tell your parents that we're going to watch Deadpool, which opens, by the way, with Ryan Reynolds and Morena Baccarin just having like crazy wild sex for like 20 minutes on different holidays and different positions.
Also, as somebody who I don't watch it, but I do feel bad that you did just put Bluey in the same category as Coco Melon. I just want to all the Bluey heads out there.
It was the first kids show I could think of.
I just wanted to give you a little bit of solidarity. That,
oh no, I canceled myself for making fun of Bluey.
I mean, the Australians will come after you.
Yeah, how many of them listen to this podcast? That's it. We're ending.